Hey, I'm up here in our student ministry space on campus here at New Life Baptist, and I could not be more excited to be in a space in the middle of a transition. Right now it looks a little bit crazy, looks a little bit like a construction zone, but that's for good reason. Brian Kimball, our new student pastor, and our student ministry team have come together with a brand new vision for a brand new direction and a brand new era of student ministry here on campus at New Life Baptist. And I couldn't be more excited for our students because they get to own a brand new vision as they come underneath the vision of our church to make disciples that love the Great Commandment and to live the Great Commission. Nothing has changed besides the space. The vision is the same, the mission is the same, the purpose is the same. But I love that they have an opportunity to make a new space their own. I had that same opportunity 11 years ago when I began as student pastor here at New Life Baptist. This room was a blank canvas. I was able to walk in with 10 students and establish a new space, a new vision, and it's only grown from there. And as this room looks vastly different than it did when I started, as all of our student pastors have kind of put their own touch on things, what this room has taught me, especially in it right now, is that this world is temporary. Nothing is permanent, and it shouldn't be. Right? Because none of this stuff is eternal. None of this stuff is really what matters when it comes to the grand scheme of the kingdom. But I'm learning a valuable lesson in life is that nothing in this world is permanent. Nothing in this world is eternal. And we are called to live for the things that are. Right? David would have this statement that would resound in our hearts right now in Psalm 39. And in Psalm 39 verse 12 it says, "Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear to my cry. Hold not your peace at my tears, for I am," notice what David calls himself, "I am a sojourner with you, a guest like all my fathers." Now hear David again. Hear what he says, "I'm a sojourner." When David says, "I'm a sojourner," he's describing a person who is living away from their own country. He's a traveler. And he uses the word guest, which gives us this great picture of a temporary resident, of someone who saw himself, such as David, temporarily living in a country or in a world or in a home that is not his. Right, David saw himself again as someone who's temporarily living in a world that is not his home. And what a statement from David. I mean, David had every reason to make this world his home, right? I mean, he was a shepherd boy turned into a giant killing monster of a man who became king, right, and established his kingdom here, was a man famously known for his empire as a regional superpower of Israel, and David had every reason to make this world his home because he had done so much and had been used to do so much by the Lord. And yet, what I love about David is he knew he was only a guest. He knew this was all temporary. He knew he was just a sojourner in this land because he was living and he belonged to a world that was much bigger, much more powerful, much greater, and much more permanent and eternal than the world in which he was in here on this side. Right, that's why Christians are always called to look ahead and to live ahead. Right? We can love the past and we can learn from the past, but we certainly can't live in the past. We're called to live for something more because we don't belong here. This is not our home. The stuff that happened in the past is not the things that we hang on to. We're living for what God has next. We hear this statement resounded in the book of 1 Peter. 1 Peter would write to the Christians scattered because of the persecution that was happening in the world at that time. And what did he use to describe the Christians? Exiles. Right? He called Christians living in this world as exiles. Now, it's also an interesting word because exile is someone from one place temporarily taking up residence in another place. Someone from one place temporarily taking up residence in another place. So Christians, what we're hearing so far is we are sojourners, we are guests, and we are exiles in this world. All right, notice that we're not immigrants. Immigrants are people who want to make their temporary home their permanent home. Right? They're applying to live here forever. They want to make their new home their forever home. We're also not tourists. Tourists are people who just kind of casually visit, kind of casually browse around, but they have really no investment or no interest in the world around them. They are just passing on through without any care whatsoever. So Christians, we are not called to be immigrants, and we are not called to be tourists. We are called to be exiles. Yes, we're passing through, but we're passing through with deep purpose. Or we're passing through with deep care for this world around us. We are passing through with deep investment and interest in seeing this world come to Jesus. And so in order for that to happen, we have to live different. In other words, this world should be able to tell we are not from around here. As we commonly say in the South, ain't from around here, are you? Right? We have this great phrase, and it's so true, because Christians should live in such a way that the world should be able to say, hey, I don't think you're from around here. You don't talk like us. You don't live like us. You don't love like us. You don't serve like us. You do it differently. And that's exactly what should be said of a Christian. We should be able to be distinctively different, that this world could be able to say, you're not from around here. For example, someone comes up to me, and I'm a native Texan, and they say, I'm from Texas. I would want to see the evidence of them actually being Texans. So for example, if you say you're a Texan, but you don't use the word y'all, if you don't love Friday Night Lights high school football and Saturday college football, and you think that a barbecue is actually an event or a grill, then I would have serious questions about you being actually from Texas. All right, those things are very distinctively Texan. And so I should be able to see the evidence that you are a Texan based on how you live and based on what you love. And church, again, the same should be said of us. People should be able to say, no, you're not from around here. You have a different set of values. You don't live for the things of this world. You're not obsessed with the empire because you're living for a kingdom. See, that should be distinctively different about us, is that we don't love and live for the things here because they're all temporary, but we love and live for the things that are eternal and moth and rust cannot destroy, and that is the kingdom of God. And so we need to make an impact here, church. We're only here temporarily. We're just exiles, kind of temporary living here until God takes us home, but He's left us here for a reason. And what's the reason? What's the purpose? To make disciples, to spread the gospel, to share the truth about Jesus. And notice, our purpose is not to get invested in this world, to be obsessed with this world, right? We're not sharing our opinions. We're not sharing all the other things that would distinctively define us with this world and identify us with this world. We're distinctively sharing and dividing and giving up the things of this kingdom, because that's what this world needs Jesus. This world needs to know they have a home that is eternal, because this world will pass and fade away. And we're seeing some of that happen right before our very own eyes. So we need to be different so we can make a difference. We need to live different so we can purposefully make a difference and make a dent in this world. I love the way that C.S. Lewis would describe this concept in Mere Christianity. He says, if you read history, you will find that the Christians who did the most, or who made the biggest difference for the present world, were just those who thought the most of the next. It is since Christians have largely ceased to think of the other world that they have become so ineffective in this. Challenging thought. That if we've stopped living for the things that are above, if we stop looking for things that are above, if we stop longing for heaven, stop longing for eternity, stop longing and living and loving the kingdom, then we'll be completely ineffective in this one. And the Christians who make the biggest difference and make the biggest dent are the ones who live different because they've been changed by Jesus. Let's not be from around here, and let's take others to where we're going.